Hello everybody, Andrew Field here. I just want to say, I know it's been a really long time since I came out with the video. It's been a little over 2 months now, but it is a new year now. It's 2022, and I want to try to make videos on a more consistent basis. I think I should be able to do that at least initially because I am home right now. I'm on my winter break. I'm set to go back to school in about 2 weeks, so it might be a bit harder after that. But yeah, I hope you guys have had a good holidays with New Year's and Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. And I just want to get into it. So, the biggest story obviously has been with COVID. There has been a new strain called the Omicron variant that was found in Africa and has since spread all across the world. It's really dangerous right now with how fast it's spreading. The good news is I think it's similar to the Delta variant where it's infecting more people, but it's less deadly. So if you do get COVID, especially from the strain, I think it's since it's less deadly, less people are going to the hospitals and dying. So that's a good thing. Um, a while back, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki tested positive for COVID, and just recently, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin tested positive for COVID-19. So, COVID is spiking all around the world, but the U.S. is actually getting hit really bad right now from the Omicron variant. Um, the numbers from December 28th, the US posted over 300,000 daily COVID cases, which was a big spike up. I think the last time that happened was last fall. I know it's been going back and forth, but we've been kind of lower on COVID until December. So I think this variant is the reason. Um, Then on the December 29th, the US posted 465,000 cases in one day. And with Omicron, so less people, it's less deadly, but because of the amount of people who are getting infected, the hospitalizations and death rates have also gone up. I was just saying that the Omicron is less deadly than the original COVID strain, but more people are getting hospitalized and dying than normal because of the amount of cases. So I'm sorry if I made that confusing at all. But the hospitalizations and death rates have gone up pretty high. Hospitalizations have gone up 21% over the past week, and the death rate has gone up 18%. This is in the US. And as of yesterday, the 3rd, the U.S. is at 100,000 hospitalizations right now. So right at this moment, over 100,000 people are hospitalized with COVID-19. The first time in 4 months. Omicron is already the dominant strain in the U.S. That just speaks to how quickly it has gone through the U.S. The CDC projects 44,000 COVID deaths over the next 4 weeks. So you can expect to see those numbers keep going up for a while. And we're just hoping, I think, that eventually, because of the amount of people that are vaccinated, though the vaccine doesn't seem to be enough right now. Like, if you have it, you're better off than someone who's unvaccinated, but you also want to get the booster shot and take precautions because of how many people are getting infected right now. The FDA just did, I think, an emergency approval of booster doses for just the Pfizer vaccine for children ages 12 to 15, and they also changed the booster timeline from 6 months to 5 months after the second dose of the vaccine. The CDC also changed their guidelines very recently from a 10-day mandatory quarantine once you test positive for COVID to 5 days. Um, I know that 2021 was a bad year for a lot of people, and I would say it's been a very bad year for me also. And the funny part was, right at the end of 2021, I tested positive for COVID. To, obviously it's not funny to get COVID, and it was very annoying. But I'm saying just 2021 was just a really bad year overall. and I ended the year by getting COVID. So just speaks to how bad the year was. Um, so I didn't. Thankfully, I was vaccinated. I wasn't able to get my booster because I got my second dose in May. So I was able to get it in November, and I was kind of busy during the Thanksgiving break, so I didn't get my booster shot. I should have prioritized it. I thought I'd be okay. I was thinking of getting it after coming back from being on winter break, but unfortunately, I came back here the 18th of December, and I think shortly after I planned on my booster shot, and I was supposed to get it um, that Thursday. So I think that was the 29th. No, the 30th. The 30th, I was supposed to get my booster shot, and thankfully I was able to celebrate Christmas with my family, so that was nice. But the 28th, December 28th, I started having symptoms. So all the symptoms I had was the fever was the main, obviously, because that's like the main symptom of COVID. So I was worried when I had that. Tuesday, I just woke up with a fever and had a bunch of symptoms. I had a fever, I had sore throat, a cough, pretty bad cough, um, congestion, runny nose, um, and a bit of shortness of breath. Like I could feel it a bit in my lungs. I can't anymore, so that's good. But yeah, I had 6 symptoms at one point. So I had the symptoms Tuesday the 28th. I realized that I should probably get tested. Wasn't able to get tested Tuesday. Got tested Wednesday. So I think I've been pretty safe for the most part. I tried to wear masks most of the time, and got vaccinated and everything else. But unfortunately, I still got it. So just shows that even when you're being careful, could still get COVID, especially since I was past 6 months with my vaccine shots. And so, yeah, I was supposed to get the booster that Thursday, and I tested positive for COVID last Wednesday, the 28th. So that was really unfortunate. So I've had to reschedule my booster. I'm hoping later this month I can get it. But yeah, so I did my 5 day quarantine, and I think the regulations say that you should quarantine for 5 days and then wear masks for another 5 days. But my symptoms started going away after the 5 days, and I took a test, I think on day 6 from having symptoms. I took it day 6 and I tested negative, and I took another test yesterday and tested negative. So I feel fine now. I think it's out of my system. Thankfully, I have 2 negative tests and did the 5 day quarantine, so I think I'm okay. Thankfully, but yeah, it was scary, and I was trying to make sure that I wouldn't give it to my family, and told family I saw for Christmas and others I saw to get tested, and thankfully my family and other people I saw all tested negative. So I was doing my job at least enough to not give it to my family. So yeah, that was something. But thankfully it's behind me now, I think. And yeah, so I can say that I'm one of millions of people in the U.S. and millions of people around the world who had COVID-19. So the White House said they were going to ramp up federal support for states. The White House is finalizing a purchase of 500 million at-home COVID tests. I think they already purchased that. Dr. Fauci was saying to cancel large events for New Year's Eve, which is obvious, but I don't think a lot of people did. It seemed like there were still large parties and stuff going on. If you did party safely and didn't go to big parties, then thank you. But I think some people did, so that's part of the reason too why the numbers are so bad. Starbucks said they're requiring workers to get vaccinated or get tested weekly, which they said they were following, I think, not only the CDC but Biden's new regulations. So I applaud Starbucks. That's a big move by them with being a giant corporation. There's Starbucks all over the U.S. So I think that's a great move. And there were a lot of elections that happened, like local elections that have now, these leaders have now gone into place. Eric Adams winning the election to be mayor of New York. Now he's the mayor. Michelle Wu is now Boston's mayor, the city's first woman and person of color elected. There was a governor race a while back in Virginia, and Republican Glenn Youngkin won, and Democrat Governor Phil Murphy won a close election to be reelected as New Jersey's governor, the state's first Democratic governor to be reelected in 40 years. Joe Biden's approval rating has not been good. The last approval rating I saw was 42%, which is bad, and 71% of Americans say the country's headed in the wrong direction. So I agree. I think Biden's done a pretty good job with trying to battle COVID, at least. Overall, I don't think he's done a great job. I think he's too old to run for re-election, but even if he wasn't too old, I wouldn't vote for him again. I don't think he's done a great job, especially with all the expectations he had about trying to unite the country. I know that's hard because a lot of the Conservative Party and a lot of the Republicans that are in Congress right now are extremists, but I haven't seen a lot of bipartisanship, and the Democratic Party has barely been held together, so I don't think he's done a great job. I think he's done obviously better than Trump, but I don't think he's done a great job so far. A while back, the House passed a $555 billion infrastructure bill. That was bipartisan, so that was a good thing. It's government spending on roads, bridges, airports, and more, so that was a really great thing. And the Senate approved it all the way back in August, but it stalled in the House from disagreement between moderate and progressive Democrats. Representative Gosar posted a video online of an animation killing of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and President Biden, which was really a scummy thing to do, and I think he even re-uploaded it. The AOC gave a great speech in response to the video coming out, and the House voted to censor Representative Gosar. A while back in Sudan, they had a military coup that took place, and it stopped the transition to civilian rule. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok was under house arrest, and there were thousands of protesters that came out against this. The Sudan military then injured and killed some of the protesters, and the Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, the United States, and Great Britain called for the restoration of Sudan's civilian-led government. There were talks going on. I haven't seen what's happened since then. And I saw a story talking about how China is building up their military and are pushing to make nuclear-capable missiles. I think the U.S. is trying to address this, but they need to do a better job to address this. The U.S. is facing a supply chain issue and labor shortages. A while back, there was a Travis Scott concert where 8 people were killed. It was in Houston, Texas. 2 of the people actually went to my high school. So that was a very unfortunate event, and yeah, it was widely publicized about what happened. It seemed like there were extra people that got in, too many people, and they didn't stop the concert when people were like fainting, and it was just a mess. Also, a while back, Kyle Rittenhouse, they had the trial for that. He's a killer of Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Hubauer, and also injured a third person in Gage Grosskreutz. Unfortunately, he was acquitted in all charges. I think it's a really bad sign for where America is today. Now, I know it was in self-defense, but so if you don't remember, this happened in 2020. I think the summer of 2020, when the whole Black Lives Matter movement was going on. There was a black man named Jacob Blake who was injured and I believe paralyzed from a police officer. He was shot, I think, 8 times in the back when he was in his car. They came over to him, and I don't know exactly the situation, but I know he was in his car with his family, and maybe they wanted him to get out of the car, but in the end, they shot him in the back several times, and I believe paralyzed him. In response, there was riots that were going on in Wisconsin, and Kyle Rittenhouse, who lived in Illinois, drove up to Wisconsin, brought an assault rifle, and so I definitely think he should have been charged. He didn't need to be there. Didn't need to bring a weapon. So when he saw that businesses were being looted and rioters were getting in, and I just want to say that I'm not for rioting. Rioting is illegal. Um, the Black Lives Matter protests were protests. Rioting was something that happened scarcely through the Black Lives Matter protests, but was not a part of the Black Lives Matter protests. And I really hate that the conservative media was trying to say that the riots were a part of that. So I just wanted to clear that up. But the writing was obviously wrong. But Kyle Rittenhouse was not the law. He was not law enforcement, police, uh, SWAT, any of that. So he had no reason to be there. He had no reason to bring an assault rifle. He got, I don't know, he was there with his assault rifle. A couple people were hitting him with things, I know. And then he just turned around and shot those three people, killed two, and injured another. I don't think he should have gone to jail for life or a very long jail sentence, but I think that he definitely deserved some jail time. And I would think like at least maybe like 10, 15 years, but he got acquitted, no jail time, nothing. So that's disgusting. And of course, because all Donald Trump does is like to stir controversy, right after he got acquitted, Donald Trump met with him and called him a nice young man. So yeah, he's disgusting. The jury reached a verdict in the Ghislaine Maxwell, the sex trafficking trial. In the end, the jury convicted her of 5 of the 6 counts related to the abuse of underage girls. She worked as the right hand man to Jeffrey Epstein, who is now deceased. The judges took their time to collaborate and made the right decision. So that was really good news. All 3 men involved with the killing of Ahmaud Arbery were found guilty by the jury. The 3 men could face life in prison, which is great news. If you didn't see that video and what happened, it was really disgusting. This guy, Ahmaud Arbery, did not do anything wrong. He was chased by these 3 men and they killed him. So the fact that they could face life in prison is definitely justice there. Kellogg's fired almost 1,400 workers who went on strike. They were striking for fair wages, and they rejected a proposal where they could have been given only a 3% raise. And this is what I really hate about corporate greed, is in this example right here. But the fact that people were just striking to get fair wages. The corporation said, we'll give you a very, very tiny raise, and if you don't like that, we're just going to fire a lot of people. In the NFL, Calvin Ridley took a break from the NFL to focus on his mental health. I know this a while back, but I just think it's important because athletes seem to be doing that more and more now, and Calvin Ridley is such a big name, so that was a very interesting decision there. The Chicago Blackhawks team that I love very much, and I just wanted to say that to start off the season, they were 1-9-2. Very disappointing. They seemed like they were going to be a playoff team, made a lot of moves past off season, and had a horrible start, and so they fired their coach Jeremy Colton, which was the right decision. This new guy Derek King has been doing much better. The NHL went on a pause last month. There were 11 teams that were no longer playing because um, no longer playing because of the amount of COVID cases they had on their team. So the NHL decided to pause the NHL until like after Christmas. A lot of teams came back. The Hawks didn't come back till like a week after that. So that was crazy, but the Hawks are finally back, so it's great news. This was a while ago, but Aaron Rodgers tested positive for COVID, and was unvaccinated, so he missed the Week 9 game. The NFL said they were going to investigate him, gave him a slap on the wrist with a minor fine about breaking COVID safety protocols. He claimed he was allergic to COVID-19 vaccines, took monoclonal antibodies and ivermectin, discrediting COVID-19 treatments. And he had a membership, surprisingly, with a health agency, but thankfully that did not last because the health agency named Prevea Health ended their partnership with Rogers, and he tried to relate to Martin Luther King Jr. So, as a Bears fan, I really hate Aaron Rodgers' guts. So I just had to report about that because I love the fact that he looks like an idiot for defining the COVID regulations and for implying he had the vaccine when he didn't, and he missed a week for being out with COVID. Now he doesn't have COVID-19 anymore, but yeah, he was an idiot there. Recently, the elder Trump children refused to comply with the New York Attorney General, who subpoenaed them as a part of a civil investigation into Trump's family business. At least 50 people were killed after a tornado hit southwestern Kentucky. A string of tornadoes hit several states. Biden spoke with Putin at the Russian leader's request recently about Russia getting more aggressive with Ukraine. The U.S. told Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky that U.S. and its allies will respond decisively if Russia further invades. So the situation is getting a bit more tense there, and thankfully the U.S., Russia, China, Britain, and France agreed that no one would win a nuclear war. So at least we have that the major world powers are saying they don't want to go to a nuclear war. That's about the best we've got right now. Um, sorry. The U.S. joined Australia and the U.K. in a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Olympics over Chinese human rights abuses, the crackdown of protests in Hong Kong, and the abuse of Uyghur Muslims. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I really appreciate you guys coming to watch my video. Alright, see ya.